Aha, I see people. Hi there.
Hey, David.
Hope things are going well for you.
Yeah, all well, all well. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I am
Yeah.
struggling a little bit. I had my eyes dilated today for some,
Oh.
just some, retinal tests, but it's a little hard to read. It's hard to do a lot of computer stuff when you struggle to read the letters. So,
Yeah.
so I am doing what I can. I'll be fine. It is
Yeah,
annoying.
yeah.
All right, I want text color to be black, and then I will type in my name and with a way people can actually read it. Ooh.
Yeah, sure.
All right. You know what? I'm gonna post URL in the chat, although I guess I'll have to do that in a moment again as people join, won't I?
Yeah.
All right, that's the chat URL that I have. By the way, if you don't mind, I'm going to add to anyone in the meeting. I like the phrase "welcome new friends." You can blame Crobe for that, but I think it's a wonderful way of welcoming people if they're anybody new. All right. We can sign in. I see Aiden has signed in. Spencer, I'm going to repost the URL. I think we're taking notes in.
For signing in, are you talking about just changing the color of the name, or?
Yes.
Yes.
Not sure how well that translates to Markdown when we switch it over for recording purposes, but I think the theory is that's supposed to make things easier. I'm not entirely sure it does.
Collaborative editing in Markdown, it's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, that's my concern. I don't know, maybe we should start removing the other, because we want, Google Docs is awesome for collaborative editing, but for recording long term, it's not really ideal. So I will leave that to other folks to argue about. But anyway. My apologies. I'm in a lot of meetings. Who's leading this meeting?
I am leading this meeting today.
Okay, Naveen. Excellent. Thank you, sir. I'm going to blame you for that.
Thank you. That's nice. We can do that going forward.
I mean, we're not going to record every single thing that happens in the notes. That's why we record the video. But it's nice to be able to go back and figure out what happened when.
Yep.
Particularly for our friends in the PACOM or EU, where there is no perfect time zone. Okay. Naveen, your show.
Yeah, I know. We usually start at the third I'm in the like at the 3:03.
Okay.
So we wait for 3 minutes. That's been the usual.
Carry forth.
Again, welcoming everyone. So if you're if you're new, go ahead and sign up. There's a Google Doc that's being posted. We would like we like to, so that we know who we are talking to, would be easier. So that'll be good. And we have shared that in the Zoom chat. So you should be able to, sorry, I'm going to share my screen so that we should all be able to. Oh, where did my Zoom go? Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I can see my Zoom screen. Perfect. Okay, it's 3:03. So I think we have kind of for quorum. So let's start the meeting. Okay, hi. I'm Naveen Srinivasan. I'm one of the contributors, maintainers of Scorecard. This is the Biweekly, and is there anybody new who would like to introduce yourself? I see a bunch of new faces.
Yeah, hello. I'm Spencer Schrock. I am at Google and looking forward to start contributing to Scorecard. And it was great getting to meet some of you in Austin. So looking forward to working with you guys.
Welcome, Spencer.
And hi, I'm Ethan. I'm an intern at Google. I'm primarily working on All-Star, and I am pleased to be contributing to that as well.
Welcome, Ethan.
Hey, everyone. This is Aiden. Actually, I've already attended this meeting like for two times. This is my third time. I'm also an intern at Google. Laurent is my manager. I'm working at the Scorecard project. Yeah, I have an agenda today, like the dependency visualization action. Gonna introduce this one later. Yeah.
Perfect. Welcome. Is anyone else?
My name is Raghav. I'm also new on the Scorecard team that works on Scorecard at Google, and yeah, I'm really excited to join and help out with this project.
Perfect. Welcome. I think we pretty much covered most of them in this. And I see the next action item obviously is I think Lauren added this. So for people, I think for people who didn't know, we presented Scorecard and All-Star in the OSS Summit last week. I think last week, right? Yeah. Lauren and I, as well as Jeff, I think is on vacation this week. All three of us presented about All-Star and Scorecard. And the next action item I see is the dependency visualization. Aiden, you want to talk about that? You want to give just an overview before I already have your other doc open, but you can just give the team the overview of what it is. It would be helpful for us to understand what it is.
Yes, of course. So the feature I'm working on actually, like the Scorecard can, visualize the dependency changes in a pull request. So like I know currently the Scorecard can only check the dependencies in the current code base. So this feature is for the action and the pull request. So so I've already shared the design doc and the figure in the doc. So yeah, I think we can switch to the figure. Yeah, the figure page. It should be. Yeah, the figure actually.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
yeah.
okay, figure. Okay.
Yeah. This should be more. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say this is a workload thing. Once there's a new code commit, there's a new pull.
Sorry, can I interject and just set some context straight for people who are unaware of dependency review?
Yes.
Okay, so for people who aren't aware of the dependency review, GitHub has an action which provides a feature of dependency review. So you can give it a repository with the present present version along with the what does it need to compare with the head. It gives you list of dependencies that are removed or added for people to give some context to that. And this is essentially plugging into that so that we can figure out what are the dependencies that have changed and if there are new things that have come. So then we can go to the BigQuery to go fetch that data from Scorecard to give some information for anybody who wants to merge anything to the pull request by including a new dependency. What are the risk in including that? What is the state of those dependencies? Did I summarize that, Aiden, or did I miss something else?
Yeah, thanks, Naveen. Yeah.
So I'm maybe missing. I'm very sorry, but I'm trying to figure out the connection between this and Scorecards, because I mean Scorecards ranks in a particular instance.
Yes.
So
what happens? Let's assume. Aiden, please stop me, or why don't you take it up? Let me stop.
Yeah, carry on. Sorry. I have A, I have B. I'm trying to figure out the relationship of A and B.
Yeah. So like in my view, this is more like a feature, like in the scorecard action.
Okay.
Like in a pull request workflow, this one will run like a part of the scorecard action and checks the the dependency changes of two code commits as a part of the scorecard action check.
We still haven't determined whether it's going to be the action or not, but that's the request Aiden is making, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I can provide a little bit more context, David.
Please.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a problem. I'm trying to understand.
Oh, no, definitely. So today, like what we want to do is something pretty simple. Is when you have a pull request that comes in, if you add some dependencies, I don't know, maybe you add a new Golang package to your dependency go.mod. We will query the GitHub API, to get the list of dependencies that have changed, and then we will run Scorecard on those dependencies and provide a summary in the pull request as a comment saying, hey, here are the aggregated score for the new dependencies that you're trying to add to your project. And if you want to know more, click this link, and it will probably take users to the debs.dev website where they can visualize the Scorecard results a little bit more in detail.
Okay. So this is an extended feature of that automatically providing scorecard data to projects.
Yeah, it's trying
Yes,
to raise awareness of, you import dependencies, like what are the status of those dependencies. I think Naveen at the Open Source Summit had like some great, demo about how you can do it by implementing, using BigQuery data and all that, but it's not automated. So we'd like to make it easier for users who use the GitHub action, the Scorecard action to learn a little bit more about their dependencies.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Laurent, for explaining this. And I actually have a quick demo on the version 0 of my feature. So may I share my screen and display the demo?
Sure.
Yeah.
I have a few questions, but we'll talk about that after your demo.
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna stop my share right now. Please go ahead and you should be able to share right now.
Yeah, thanks, Naveen. So yeah, this is my test repo for the workflow. I've already configured the workflow file here. So this is basically a listener. So once there is a new pull request, to this repo, or there's a new code commit to an existing pull request, it will execute my action and analyze the dependency changes, like in the current branch, the main branch, and the head commit. So let's modify some dependencies in this file. So this is the current like the manifest file for Go in my main branch, and let me replace these packages to the another version. And I submit a pull request for this, like to patch 6. Yeah, and then the pull request would trigger the workflow here. Yeah. So this could like run for like 30 seconds or so. And actually, I got a previous result here. Should be this one. So it will like analyze the dependency changes in the between this one and the main branch, and visualize the result like this. So for added dependencies, there's going to be an added tag here, and the ecosystem, the package name here, the version means that this is a new package added to the REPL. And for the updated dependencies, it will show the old version and the new version here, and also the removed dependencies. It will give it a tag as removed. And if any vulnerability is found in a dependency, it will also give a vulnerable tag here. Since this is just for a demo, so I'm basically giving every dependency a vulnerable tag. We're still like figuring out like which URL this vulnerable tag should lead to. Currently is the source code REPL of the package, or it could be like the package version page from the deps.dev. Yeah. So whatever it is, this is just like the quick demo for the version 0 of the feature. Yeah.
Quick question on these things. So before I'm gonna share my screen if you don't mind, and can we talk about this?
Yeah, of course.
So thanks for the doc and the picture. It helped understanding. So I see in your picture specifically, it's using the REST. It's going to obviously provide a REST endpoint so that it can go query that. Right now, is your goal to query the scorecard cron or the open source insights, or is it a combination of both?
Yeah. So my plan for the version 0 is to use the aggregate score from the scorecard cron. Yeah.
Okay. So okay. So essentially, and that is cool because that's what it is. What my concern is, like, scorecard score is great.
Yes.
But people don't like score sometimes. People don't like score sometimes because people are like have their own opinion on that. Unless if you provide the score and then they can click on a link and expand about that score.
Yes.
Because and because I've worked in this project a little while, there's a discrepancy between the real scorecard score and deps.dev. Deps.dev does not update what gets updated in scorecard BigQuery table. Then there's going to be a disconnect. When I see the score, let's say suppose, because scorecard does not have the backend does not have a UI for you to go look at all of that. There's no UI for the BigQuery right now. So that's one concern that I have. The second concern is, how are we planning to version these APIs? Because if we aren't, because scorecard, as we add more information, people are going to build on top of this. It's going to become a nightmare when we break things. So those things have to be thought through before building an API on top of this. Yeah, I'm going to pause right now. I'm going to let others talk.
Yeah, actually, the like the right part of the figure, the GKE REST API part. So it is not included in the version 0. Like for version 0, our intention is to, just to make it run as a end-to-end action thing.
The left-hand side, basically.
Yeah.
But how is it going to use the, again, my ignorance, sorry. If it's gonna, it still has to hit a REST endpoint for it to go get that. Like, or your the left side still has to go to a right side to go get that. You still need a REST endpoint.
Yeah, like for the vulnerability part, actually the GitHub dependency review API would give us like a list of vulnerabilities.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay,
we don't
that
have
is-
to. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Like
Sorry,
we don't
go
have
ahead,
to. Sorry. Like we don't have to query the BigQuery open source insights like for vulnerabilities. So as you see, I put like 1, 2, 3. I put 3 threat intelligence source into the the vulnerability box, like CVE, OSV, and GHSA, which is the GitHub Security Advisory. I think this is like the exact vulnerability source that the GitHub is using. Yeah.
Yeah, G
So-
stands for GitHub. In fact, GitHub Security Advisory.
It's yes. So yeah, like for the version 0, we don't need to do the REST API for the version 0.
So
If you do, it might be useful to think of that as its own
Yes.
service, because I can see other folks want exactly the same information.
yeah, everybody wants the same information because that'll be an amazing. The one on the right is in my opinion, the one on the right is the real thing that everybody's looking for. I understand adding vulnerable information is great, but should that be part of Scorecards actions to get vulnerability from the dependency review API, dump that information? Should that be part of Scorecard action? Is that Scorecard's responsibility?
Yeah, Naveen, I think you're spot on. I think the main focus of the work is to surface the scorecard results. I think the vulnerabilities is maybe something we can add at the end as like a cherry on the cake, but
Yep.
I think we don't need to have the vulnerabilities. I think like other question you ask about, hey, do we want to have just scores? I think we're just using aggregate score right now because we don't have badges. So
Sure.
this would be just like a summary, and then we'd provide a link. And I think
Okay.
that's what the feature should be, like the first iteration.
Okay.
No vulnerabilities.
Perfect.
And then once we have a better way to visualize, we can update in the next iteration. Like hopefully devs.dev will have better visualization and we can still use them. But if not, maybe we have the scorecards.dev website and we link them to there.
Okay.
But not this idea. I guess score just now because it's the only thing we have, and provide a link to devs.dev so that people can learn a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm sorry. I'm 100% for this. I'm just making sure that we don't disappoint our customers with incorrect information, especially if devs.dev is out of sync from our BigQuery. We don't want that. And believe me, people are going to DDoS this API. People are going to DDoS this API.
Yes.
Certainly, they're going to DDoS this API, and we need to be very, very cognizant about versioning these APIs. That's why I'm asking those questions. But other than that, this is a phenomenal thing. I've always wanted this, but this is great.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay. As I say, I totally understand the data out of sync problem. Perhaps one solution, and I certainly agree that it would be good, very, very good as soon as possible to be able to drill down to that next level, because that, I mean, not just knowing a score, you want to know why. But I think at the very least, it would be good to have a date, the date time of when that score was created, a tooltip, whatever, but that might make it so that if there's a disagreement because DEPS has an older version, if they show date and you show date, Oh, they're from data. It'll make it a lot more obvious why there's a difference if there is one.
Also, on that note, I do know depths are there. I don't remember the BigQuery structure. At least I've played with that. I don't know if they have the scorecard data. If they have the scorecard data, can we pull from that so that we can show a UI and still show a score? The score might be a couple of weeks old, but it's okay. But it gives us a UI, which when a scorecard team does not build a UI for all of this fancy stuff that we already have in depths.dev. If we can pull from that, then there will be a better opportunity of V1 or V0, whatever you want to call that. So that will be a great place to start.
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, something I want to mention, Navin, I don't know if it was clear to everyone, but V0 isn't going to use depths.dev at all. It will just run scorecard like real time on the dependencies to make it simpler. I don't know if that was clear.
No, it wasn't
No,
clear.
that was not clear.
That was not clear.
Okay.
Yeah,
so-
I'm actually surprised by that. That's
Yeah.
I mean, every time you do a commit, you're going to rerun scorecards on everything.
On everything?
So I think maybe to start, at least for the V0 end-to-end, to test everything, yes, and then we will move to a more like using BigQuery data, yes.
Okay, so that's probably going to hit
You're gonna-
API throttle. That's
Yeah, you're going to kill everything fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I forgot,
maybe-
what's the number of an empty React? 500 or 1,000? It's some crazy number. You don't have anything and already you've downloaded the universe.
Yeah. So I think V0 might not be the thing that we actually release, but we have to get through that first to actually test it. And this seems to be the
Yes.
simplest. But if you think that it's better to just skip that step, maybe we could. I don't know. I think we're open for suggestions on this.
My thing is, if we build the right side, then getting the left side is super easy, because then everybody, when we build the right side, sorry, I meant the right side for people who aren't, is purely on the REST endpoint. If we build the REST endpoint, the dependency and everything, then we expose BigQuery, which is great. Sorry, Lauren and I have talked about the same.
Yeah, the devs.dev team is working on a public API, REST API. So also we don't want to duplicate their work. So I guess that's why we're not like, shall we do something in the meantime before they have it public, or shall we not? I guess.
Okay. So again, my ignorance of, I don't know what is happening on devs.dev. So do we have to rely on devs.dev for scorecards, everything? Probably that makes sense, but do we have some kind of a timeline as to when they are likely to come out? Say probably in summer or fall.
No, just second quarter of the year. So relying on them is not. So because there's also like you said, there's two data sets, right? There's the scorecard BigQuery table that we can use for the results, and then the devs.dev is more like for transitive dependency information, but that can come next. So I guess in terms of prioritization, I'd love to hear what everyone thinks. Feel free to say anything, like you're going in the wrong direction. That's also fine. Like just so that we scope the expectation a little bit, like to make sure we don't get into a wall for V0, basically.
Also, stepping back with the other thing that we're doing in the action, wherein with the badges work, all of this is going to come to the BigQuery. Unless devs.dev queries from Scorecards BigQuery table, then we are fine. But if they're going to maintain a different data set, then that becomes a problem.
So maybe to also make it simpler for like when I say V0, I don't mean that this is going to be what we release. Maybe we release V1, but maybe for V0 is we don't update the score on every pull request because we can check whether we already check the results. Or maybe so maybe that would be a compromise that we could.
Yeah, just to be clear, I don't have any problem with a V0 having partial functionality. I mean, that's kind of what a early release is, but we just have to be careful not to get that used widely, or you're going to peg all sorts of things.
Yep, agree.
So, but the destination is loading in from places. Awesome.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to this.
So again, I'm just asking questions. What is that is stopping from you building the right side? I already spoke about this to the other Brian who works in Google for the product team. I was speaking to him about this. Is there a specific thing that we don't, is there a blocker for moving towards the right endpoint, right side, building the REST endpoint?
So I think it's not necessarily a blocker, but it's more like because Aiden is just interning
Sure.
for like 2.5 months.
Yep.
It's pretty hard to like finish up
I understand
everything. So I think that's mostly time constraint is a blocker.
Okay. For Aiden's project as to something he can wrap it up, and if I'm not trying to understand. Okay, makes sense.
Yes.
But somebody else can also keep progressing on this as a feature, right? Just making sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
perfect.
Definitely.
Yep. I think if we can build V0 and then move to V1 to be perfect. Yep.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry. I agree. So like I'm also new to the REST API and the GKE stuff. Like if I'm gonna develop like a robust API on the GKE as a real public service, it might take like longer, maybe longer than my internship, to finish this part. So yeah. So I think I'll just focus on the version 0 first. Yeah.
Perfect. Especially V1 needs some SLAs, and right now, like right now, how Sixstore is going through defining SLAs. If we're going to expose this, people are going to expect some kind of not having rate limit. We need to put in some rate limiting, some all the things that we expose in endpoint. It's just going to, people are going to expect. So that's something that you got to think deeper.
So how about for V0? So would it be okay? Let's say we run locally real-time scorecard, but we always check when the previous run happened, and we do at most one run per day per pull request. Maybe that would probably be good enough.
So walk me through an example. So somebody does a pull. So if you walk me through, it'll be much more easier.
Yeah. So let's say you have a pull request. We run scorecard. The results are shown as comments, like Aiden showed. And then in the next commit to your pull request, we don't run it again, and we wait for maybe 24 hours before we run it again, so that we don't run it all the time. If that is a bottleneck, I think that's a concern that David had. We're going to be running and maybe hitting rate limiting on some other systems.
Yeah, sorry. I have a quick question on this. So I think this is quite similar to the what the code curve is doing. So basically, when I like submit my commit to a pull request, like every time the code curve will just run again and give me like just gives me a new result of the code coverage.
Yeah, I suppose we have to experiment with this to make sure it's not too brittle.
I think they also have this, the API limitation issue. Yeah.
Because we use the GitHub API, that's the biggest problem. Because when we have to go, let's take an example. My concern is like what David had. if I go bring up a new library and that library has 400 dependencies, transitive dependencies, now you're going to run the code 400 and half partially it's going to fail. We're going to update the comment saying, hey, these things have failed. Where do we update the comment to the pull request? The pull request could have been closed. Many different moving parts, right?
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
Okay. So at least we get some perspective. Aiden, is there anything else that you want to talk about specifically on this?
Oh, actually, so I put the question in the doc, like for the version 0. So where should my code goes to? Maybe the scorecard repo or the scorecard action repo. I know we have like different opinions on this one.
Sure. So
yeah.
Before that, I would say if we come back and say like the same, like we still have to, again, in my opinion, everybody else has to pitch in. Sorry, Emma. We still don't know whether it's going to work or not. What are the problems?
I would say it's, the server side, that server thing has, if it's ever implemented, has to run on a completely different computer. And so that would make sense to make as a separate repo as a guest. But I mean, repos are cheap. We can always create another repo. Really, it's not a crisis. I think in the broad scheme of whatever makes, whatever's easiest for everybody. But I think there is a value in making a different repo if you might have different groups, or even more, it might have a life of its own. My experience is once you start serving information to something else that might be more general, often better to, it's running in a separate environment. It's you providing data that might be useful to other folks, starts to make sense as its own thing. It's not a guarantee. I mean, just a thought.
Yeah. So I basically created like 3 or 4 repos under my account. We can see from the doc, like the repo 1 is my workflow test, which is the demo I just showed, and the repo 2 is my dependency change fetching and visualizing code is in the repo 2. Yeah, so sorry for the typo. Yeah.
Are these intended to be as part of OpenSSF? And if so, we can try to get those opened up under the OpenSSF. We need to get the working group A-OK, but I mean, that's an email.
Actually, I'm integrating like my code in repo 2 to maybe one of the repo under OpenSSF.
Yeah. I mean, you can get started as use Apache 2.0 or MIT licenses, but I don't. There's no reason to stop forward progress. But if we're going to make different repos, I think sooner rather than later, it'd be better to bring it under OpenSSF. Talk to the working group, make sure they're okay. I presume they're okay. Bring it into OpenSSF, then it's all part of it, and nobody has any weird questions. Oh, sorry about the plane.
Of course. So this is the first question, and another one is an issue I found for the GitHub Dependency Review API. So I did some tests on this API, and I found currently it only uses the manifest file as the source of the dependency change and analyzing stuff.
Okay, so GitHub is okay. So they are working. I'm sure you've seen this. Okay, for people who don't understand the context, right? There's a GitHub recently put in another action wherein they are able to use the runtime to figure out the dependencies using the build information. So essentially, it looks at your build. It's almost watches your build, figures out what are the real dependencies, and figures out what are the real dependencies and sends that information to the server so that GitHub can identify what are the real dependencies and make some, can do depend-about updates to all of that. So it's still not, in my opinion, it's still not very stable, depending on that, because they have it as beta. They don't, or probably they have it as V1, but they are still working on those things.
Yeah, I think its current support for the the manifest file is fine. Like the issue is like we know for different ecosystems, for example in the Go mod, we have both direct dependencies and indirect dependencies in the Go mod file. Yeah, but for ecosystem like the Pythons, the PyPI, so it doesn't have the indirect dependencies in the manifest file. I mean, it has the the indirect dependencies in the log file, but not in the manifest file. So if I use this dependency review API from GitHub, as the data source for the version 0, it could give me different results for different ecosystems. Like for a Go REPL, I could have all of the information about both the direct dependencies and the indirect dependencies. But for a Python REPL, I only have the the information for direct dependencies because there are no indirect dependencies in the Python's manifest file.
Okay.
Yeah.
I totally understand that. Doesn't deps.dev have this figured out? Are they planning to expose the Laurent? Are they planning to expose this as an API?
Yeah, they already have the data set that is public.
Yes.
Aiden has been playing with it, so he's able to give a set of dependencies and get all the transitive dependencies. But then it comes down to waiting for the REST API.
Yeah, not only that, there's a commit difference, right? I still have to know between commit my commit and the head, right? That is the magic.
Yeah, that's what GitHub gives you for free.
Right.
Yeah.
But
So
it still does not give the transitive dependencies.
Yeah, that's where deps.dev comes into play with their public dataset. They have it.
So yeah, if we take a look at the document, I have a REPL 3 in the document. So yeah, there's a link. So this is my local web server for accessing the BigQuery dataset. It's the agenda doc. Sorry, it's the meeting doc. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
So REPL 3, yeah, this is a web app. So we can just put this to local and get it run. And there is a interface in this web app where we can use the dependency name and version to query all of these indirect dependencies. But yeah, still this is maybe the version 1 or version 2 thing. It's not a version 0 thing.
Right. Even my concern is, even if we use deps.dev for transitive dependencies and the GitHub API for the dependency differences between versions,
yes,
I could be adding a dependency, could be bringing in 14 other transitive dependencies, which deps.dev is not going to be aware. We're going to be giving partial information. So
yes.
all of this is going to provide scorecard providing incorrect information is not going to fly by well, in my opinion, unless somebody else has another opinion.
Yeah, I guess this is like a future topic we need to discuss.
So Navin, if I understand, the concern is we will be missing some entries for some. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I think that's correct. Yeah.
Yep. So people, again, I'm re-explaining the whole thing. So take example, if I open a pull request to Scorecard BigQuery R that is shown in the screen right now, and that brings in dependency A, and that's what the GitHub API would provide. Hey, Navin is bringing in dependency A, but if it's happened to be a PyPy package, and if that, and And prior to this, the project had 14 other transitive dependencies that we go query from dev.dev. Now for dependency A could be bringing in another 20 other transitive dependencies that Scorecard will not be able to run on them.
Yeah.
So there'll be a disconnect. We need a single point. So we need a single point which gives us all the dependencies and the transitive dependencies to figure out. I think that is because the right side, I'm going back to this, in my opinion.
Yes.
The right side is easy
right side,
because the left side is figuring out dependencies is hard.
Yes.
Sorry, I see.
Yeah,
adding few
I think
things.
I think that's it from me for my feature. So maybe we should leave some time for other topics.
Sure.
Naveen, do you want to write down everything you said in the doc? I don't know if you
Absolutely. Okay, so
I think that would be
all-
great. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Content, I think,
So I
great
will.
feedback.
Okay. Yep. I will add it to do. Okay. So I'm just going to add it to do.
Good.
And Aiden, if you don't mind, I can, because this is, I'm going to put all my concerns in the issue, GitHub issue, because it's easier for the whole world to see why we are doing what we are doing in the doc. It's much more searchable. So I'm going to put in the GitHub issue.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And we can link this doc in the GitHub issue so that we know what we are talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, perfect. I will go. That's my responsibility. After this meeting, I'm going to dump all my thoughts over there, and we can have a discussion over there also. Okay. So Ethan, if you don't mind, I'm gonna let Ethan take over for the next items.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Ethan, you want to go
Great.
next?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Naveen. Yeah, sorry. So I've just thrown in a ton of notes here, but yeah. So I was noticing that there are some on the topic of All-Star. There are some more recent issues on the All-Star repo about mainly some people who've been who've had repos that are subject to All-Stars policies have some concerns about specific ones. So the first one that I pointed out here in this list was All-Star spamming my repo. The spamming part is not the most important part, I don't think, but what is kind of interesting is that it is pointed out here that some binary files or some, I think that's in this issue. Yeah, exactly. Some binary files that are in this repo can't really be left out just because they're provided by Microsoft, it seems like. So these are like closed source pre-compiled binaries that supposedly just can't be left out. I think that in some case it would make sense to create exceptions to the binary artifacts rule in order to allow specific binary artifacts to be left over. What I was wondering was, or one question in this area was, I don't know, are there any good ways to go about checking the integrity of binary files without necessarily, or yeah, just in limited circumstances where they do need to exist? Is there like a good way to go about that? Some ideas I had were like, well, the simplest one is you could just put the hash of the file in the org level exemption for the binary artifacts policy. So then at least if the file were to get updated, the hash would have to be resubmitted to the org level all-star configuration. Then that would mean that someone at the org level would have to at least review the hash, and maybe whoever's providing the new hash could submit like a URL where it could be downloaded from, and then the person at the org level could be like, oh yeah, okay, that's Microsoft. All right, great. So that provides
quick clarification. Are we talking about binaries included in the repo, or
yes.
are you talking about binaries like generated inside a package to verify that they come from the source code? which is
Right.
different.
These are executable files that are within the repo. Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for the clarification.
Of course. Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, so this is kind of just something I've been thinking about lately. I think that it might be a good idea to add some features to All-Star that would make it just easier for people to deal with and adopt, because I think that if we provide like more opportunity for reasonable exemptions, then people are going to be generally happier with it and more likely to not broadly opt out of policies. Rather, I'm sure people would be more willing to work with it if we allow them to carve out very small exemptions to the policies. So one PR I made recently on All-Star was one that allows outside collaborators exemptions. I didn't link to this, but here, I'll add it to the thing actually, or to this document. Basically, the idea is at the org level, we can provide exemptions to the outside collaborators policy for specific repos, specific permissions. I'll provide a link to that right here. So yeah, basically at the org level, outside collaborators could be approved. So like if someone under a company's organization on GitHub wanted to invite someone else to be have push or admin access on the repo, then that could be approved by someone managing the All-Star repo for that organization. Yeah, so that was one feature on that topic. But yeah, someone else proposed, there was another issue about it. It was about, I think it was 201. Let me check to be sure here. Yeah, it was 201. Here, I'll add a link to that. So this was just about pinging on the weekends. I think maybe we could allow organizations or repos to exempt pings on like a couple of days of the week or something like that, just to make it a little nicer overall.
If we go, again, my 2 cents on this, if we can replicate what the Dependabot has all these configurations. So because we are in the GitHub ecosystem, if we're going with the same YAML, if we go with the same templating, it'll be great, because then people are like, I can copy paste from here to here. I can have the same thing. People love it. I love it. So that's one recommendation on that.
Okay, thanks. I think that's yeah, sorry.
And people call days because again, people in the West like it 0. People in the East start with 1. So people are like, so 0 Sunday or Monday. So people like to call them actual days.
Yeah, true.
So those things would be helpful. So again, my 2 cents would be, if you just copy what Dependabot they thought through, they battle tested, we can probably fall back on that. That's a good suggestion, in my opinion.
That sounds great. Okay, yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, this is just like something I spewed out really quick. So yeah, that sounds good. Thanks for the suggestion. And yeah, those are the main things I wanted to cover. Yeah, just about increasing All-Star adoption.
But this is. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Naim.
Okay, so I totally agree on my on what Ethan's suggestion is. Have a commit SHA, have a SHA, not a commit SHA for binary. So then All-Star can check and say, hey, if that's the same SHA, I don't have to complain, because I do know about that. But it's a great feature. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm glad you like it.
So I have a question on this SHA. Like, how often do they change? Like, because if they change every week, or maybe not every week, but like every month, like there's the maintainers or the org owners will have to update those hashes. So do you want to provide like, oh, this is coming from that URL, just fetch it yourself and verify that it's from Microsoft,
oh, that's a nice
and you
idea.
get the same binary.
Okay,
I'm not saying that's what you should do, but like I'm asking, like, you know, keeping track of hashes is going to be a pain. Especially
it would be. Yeah, exactly. I mean, of course, one alternative would be doing it on the repo level, but then I don't know. The question is, would this stuff all get overlooked, like, or would the hashes really get checked at the repo level? So, I think the URL idea is kind of interesting, because that would make it really easy to configure. And as long as I mean, of course, we're running All-Star on a trusted server with a trusted network connection. So hopefully, if we're requesting it from Microsoft, we're like, it should be fine. Maybe we could require that be an HTTPS URL if we're doing that verification from our server. Could be reasonable. But also one other idea was like we could do like code signing. We could just check to make sure that the executable is signed by Microsoft. Maybe add like a signature option or some kind of like option related to that in the configuration for binary artifacts exemptions. But yeah, the URL idea seems really nice. I think that's actually a good start for it for sure.
Yeah, doing signature seems like every
Yes.
different provider is going to have different
Yeah,
signatures.
different. Yeah, you need the public. You need this. Yep.
Yes.
Also keep in mind with the URL ideas, I don't know what they pull, but if it's a version, if the file name is version, like it says OpenSSH v1.2.3, then maybe that's an additional complication for you. So David, go ahead.
Yeah, so if you're going to do the URL, you may as well just say have an exemption for paths and do path matching. I mean, lots of linters say I'm going to skip this path. It's a whole lot like it.
Okay, I'm going to play the devil's advocate to say, okay,
go for it.
People can stick in a malware URL, and all of a sudden, All-Star is going to download a malware URL. So as long as you say caution, saying in this, hey, please, we are like, I know you're going to run this in a sandbox, but I'm just trying to say that's one thing that I can think of people trying to do that. There are people like, if I have to play the bad guy,
absolutely.
I will do this. I will do that. If I don't like, I know All-Star is running within Google's this thing. Okay, I'm going to be like, okay, how can I run this so that I can do a 0-day, try to do something over there, run my cryptocurrency mining. I'm gonna look at every way to do this. So as long as just ensure that is my concern.
You know, I think
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say we'll probably not be parsing the file in any way. We'll just be hashing it. Like it should be pretty straightforward to just download it from the URL. We'll set a timeout. We'll never write it to disk at all, actually, probably just while calculating the hash. So I don't think there's much room for any kind of exploits based on that. Of course, they'd have our IP of the server. So I don't know if that's a significant problem. Whoever we're requesting from would have the IP. So there is that to consider. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess the real issue is what's the threat model of things like Scorecard. I've been mainly pitching Scorecard as, trying to help you with unintentional vulnerabilities, and that sort of thing within the packages. If we're viewing this as a way to counter malicious code, I mean, yes, that's a totally valid thing to be worried about. I don't know how far, Scorecard's going to get there. I mean, most of the other ones are not going to counter that. So I guess maybe we should be explicit one way or the other. It's not clear to me that the Scorecard measures are going to have any serious counter against malicious software, frankly.
I think Navin was mostly worried about someone taking advantage of it. If you were running the binary that you download, it would exploit the All-Star server.
Yep.
But
yeah.
I think
is that what you're worried about? Right.
Yeah.
Well, don't run it then.
But Ethan said, like, we're not going to run it.
Yeah, problem solved. You shouldn't be running into this code. That would be just crazy from a performance perspective.
Yeah. At the very most, if we were doing like verification of the code signing using a public key or something, we would have to, I guess, slightly parse out the data that we're receiving, but it should be fine probably for the most part.
But it comes with lots of problems, like the Apple ecosystem has a different thing, Microsoft ecosystem has a different thing, where the signing servers are, where the root keys are. Like it's a business file all by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. That does sound true. Actually, that sounds like a big deal.
Where possible, don't take random code from the internet and run it. JavaScript notwithstanding.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah, definitely. I think so that the hash method would work for like files that don't change a lot or don't get updated. I guess allowing maybe exemptions on a per file basis would. I think we already do that though. We do exemptions on a per file basis. So that's
so you've
kind of perfect.
Yeah. So you've got a solution for that.
Yeah, exactly. That already exists, in fact. So there might not be anything needed to change at all. Yeah.
Even better.
Definitely.
I like no work issues.
For sure. All right. Well, that's mainly what I want to cover. I'm not sure exactly what this last issue I listed is, but oh, ping duration should be configurable. Okay. Well, yeah, there you go. Could be nice. It kind of pairs with the weekend thing. So, although that's not exactly straightforward to do, but it might be doable. Well, actually, I don't know. I guess we just run the all-star checks like on a somewhat frequent basis. So actually it could be partly configurable probably, because I think it's got like a default amount of time it waits between replying to issues that it creates. So that would work. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much what I want to cover about All-Star.
Perfect. We are almost close to the hour. Thanks, Ethan. Is there anything else that anybody else wants to cover? Okay, perfect. So we usually pick, thanks everyone. We usually pick who's gonna run the next one, which is, sorry, I don't know what the next date is. Trying to figure out where to go. Who wants to take up the? It is. Sorry, I'm trying to fix the date. Is there any volunteers for the next scorecard meeting? Usually doing the same job I did today. It's pretty simple. It's on July 14th.
Can we nominate people?
If nobody else is, we usually request people. Need not be, again, remember, it need not be, it can be, you don't have to be a scorecard team member to do that. It can be anybody who has right access to this. We welcome new people to come and do this. There's any new scorecard. So, okay, Lauren, I'm gonna nominate you. Nobody else. I can't nominate others.
I'll forward the nomination to someone else. Don't worry.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Within the
Perfect.
team, the newcomers.
Yes, that's why I don't want to throw them under the bus without them, but I've at least have a little bit of working with Lauren, so that's why I stick his name into this. All right. Okay. That'll be all. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, is it
See ya.
recorded?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Oh, okay. It'll just go up online, like somewhere, like with a link in the invite or something.
It should come up in YouTube.
It should go up in
really?
YouTube, and yeah, I think it takes about a week or 3 or 4 days, right?
Okay.
I honestly don't know how long it takes. And
Yeah.
then, and to be fair, it may be a little delayed because we had the open source summit with just, I think it's the same people suddenly got dumped a week's worth of videos. So it may be a little backlog, but the intent is for it to be up. And if it isn't in like 2 weeks, well, let me know. I don't actually know who does that, but I guess I can find out.
Hit it up in the you can hit up in the OpenSSF Slack channel. People are really they should be able to stay on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
See you.